I'm Chris Stevenson, and welcome to Mondo Calaveras. And before we get into our interview, I wanted to thank a guy by the name of Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor used to host this program called Mondo Calaveras, and he originated the name. He named the program Mondo Calaveras. And when I said, I'm going to be the new host of Mondo Calaveras, usually what people will say to me is, well, what does that mean? What is Mondo? And I didn't really have a great answer at first, but as it turns out, I did a little research. Mondo is an Italian word, and it means world. And as time went by, like through the 50s and 60s, it became known as sort of world class. And then there was the California surfing culture that kind of adopted the term Mondo, and it became something like extreme. And I like to think of it as awesome. So Mondo Calaveras means awesome Calaveras. So that's where we're going to go with. Did you guys know what Mondo means?
Did not know.
Did not. No.
There you go. I'd like to introduce you to my two guests today. They are Jesse Gibbs. Say hi.
Hi.
This is Jesse Gibbs and his husband, Hector Reyna Gibbs.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Hi.
welcome. And you guys work at Century 21.
Right.
Right. Which Century 21? Tell me about it.
So we have Century 21 Sierra Properties, which we have 3 offices, Angels Camp, Murphy's, and Arnold. So really up the Highway 4 corridor. Each office has between 12 and 15 agents, so together we have about 32 agents total.
And you guys are brokers, and you own the company. Is that
So
correct?
we own the company. Both of us have our real estate license, and then we have a broker of record, which you find in many firms where your broker of record is the responsible broker who signs documentation, and then you have management or ourselves as owners that do the training, interviewing, contract review, making sure the agents stay compliant with all the different real estate rules and laws.
And there are lots of those.
Oh yeah, constantly changing.
Yeah. All right. For those of us that are uninitiated to real estate, explain to me the difference between broker and realtor and agent.
All right, so when you first get going in real estate and you complete your required courses, which are 3 required courses, to be able to take the state exam, you start out as a sales associate. Basically, that's your beginning level. You can, after being practicing for 2 years, and then continue on with further courses, that is when you can retake the real estate exam, which is longer, 250 questions, and if you pass that, then you can obtain your broker's license. But they want somebody practicing for a certain amount of time, making sure you understand the rules, the contracts, the laws, before you move into that broker position, because when you're the responsible broker, you're basically responsible for everything that goes on. So if the Department of Real Estate gets a complaint, they're going to come to the broker of record and sit down with them, request information from them, files, look into the complaint, what kind of trainings do you do, how do you supervise your real estate associates that are part of your team. So that's kind of the difference. Your broker of record really has the ultimate responsibility of if something's wrong, they're the one who Department of Real Estate is going to come check into. And then realtor and the broker, so you'll see broker, associate, or realtor. The difference there is that if you're a realtor, that you're a member of the California Association and the National Association of Realtors, meaning you can use that trademark. You do see sales associates out there. What that is that they're not a member of the trade organization.
Okay. So you're a realtor,
Yes.
not broker?
Correct.
Okay. And Hector, and what's your role in the company? What do you?
Same, also realtor, owner. I'm kind of like the rah-rah cheerleader for our agents. So I do the decorating, I kind of boost up the morale, provide fun treats, and we do mixers and fun dinner for holidays.
Yeah.
So we're there to be like a good support.
Are you the guy that stages the houses too? Because it sounds like it's right up your alley.
I would love to stage houses, but yeah, no, we kind of all stay on our own lane, and there are some of our agents I think that do stage some home, but
Okay.
yes.
Good. All right. So I'm totally sympathetic to what you guys do. But a criticism that we all hear is that it's ridiculous how much money a real estate agent or broker will make in a real estate transaction. It's not uncommon for it to be $25,000. And do you get tired of people like me asking you to justify how much you guys make?
It's not, you don't get tired. It's just it's explaining. There's a lot of maybe misconception of what because part of our profession and some of the things that create that issue is agents can get very involved in the transaction and forget about the communication process. So there's a lot going on the behind the scenes, making sure your escrow, because it's going to be 30, 45, sometimes 60 days. We've seen them for 6 months or a year, just depending on the size of the project. There's a lot of things that go on, and we sometimes fail to communicate all the steps. I think the last thing I saw, they broke it down. There's like 172 steps to get from contract to close of a deal. A lot of times our clients, they hear about 5 different things going on because they're not understanding that you're talking to the lender, you're talking to the title company, you're working with the inspectors, the appraiser. When an issue comes up, sometimes we try to resolve it before getting the client involved because it's an emotional time, it's a stressful time. So if we can fix things on the side, we will try to do that. Hector's got a transaction right now that these are some of the things not used in professional you may not know about, not knowing to have the inspections. He's got one right now where the garage is built over the septic tank and there's no access to it. That's a challenge. How do we work through that? So it's getting the agents involved, the septic company involved. What can we do to resolve this? Do we need to install something different, or can we take out the cement and get to at least the lids of the tank? So that side, clients don't always see that. So I think as our profession, we need to be more vocal of really communicating with the client of what's going on to show that it's not just that 16-page contract that you're signing. There's a stack that's like 2 inches thick.
Okay, in my real estate transaction, there was never a 16-page. There's a 500-page stack of things I have to
So unfortunately, in our state, we're a very, very litigious state. So they're always creating forms and adjusting our forms because of that. So our last revision, just the purchase contract is now 16 pages.
I gotcha.
Then you have all the addendums. So
Yeah.
in fixing the purchase contract, there were 72 other forms that they dealt with in fixing.
Wait, you said 72
other
forms.
besides
73 forms.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, that's why you did 500 different pieces of paper.
I gotcha.
But I think it goes back to is kind of in we're talking about your work as well as being in medical. The stuff I put back on that is sometimes it's like, well, there's discount brokers, or I can do this on my own. But it's the same thing. If I was going to a doctor, do I want the discount doctor, or do I want somebody who's
Yes,
full service?
Thank you. You started me. I was going to make this analogy that I give chemotherapy. That's what I do professionally. Somebody out there could conceivably buy chemotherapy on the black market from some Russian guy in Kazakhstan and have it shipped here and probably find a way to get an IV in them, probably through somebody that used to abuse drugs. Wildly making this stuff up, but it's conceivable that you could give yourself chemotherapy, but that would be ridiculously stupid. Okay? You need a professional that knows what they're doing and can deal with the emergencies like the way Hector has been doing that. And so, would you agree with this analogy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the local side too. Because what we practice here as local agents dealing with rural properties and septics and wells, maybe an agent that's not a local agent, maybe coming from the Central Valley or the city, they're dealing with different things that we may not deal with. So also really taking advantage of your local real estate community.
Okay. Which I think is a reason why you you guys are not paying me to say this. You may not use some of these services that you see online now because you don't have that local expertise.
Correct.
These people might be who knows where,
Right.
and they don't know you, you don't know them.
Our license is for the state of California.
Yeah.
But California is a large state, and there's a lot of different properties, a lot of different counties have different rules, cities have different rules. So if you're not really practicing full time in that area, you could get yourself into trouble because you may miss something like the septic.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with this example with the septic. And then the nice thing is that you partner with so many of your local, your local vendors or your
You know who the good inspectors are.
and the
local lenders.
And being in this county and working together and partnering with one another, it allows you to be able to pick up that phone or send a quick text message like, hey, I'm going to buy it, or hey, can you tell me, give me some feedback, or where do I need to go with this? And so, and even the agents, agents as a whole, not just Century 21, but just agents in this county, we all work together to kind of make things happen, and it's a good partnership. And so this whole little septic thing that we have going on, it was quick to just pick up the phone and say, hey, what do you recommend? Like, what do we need to do? And so, yeah.
So you haven't resolved the septic problem yet? You're still in the midst of it?
Still in the midst of it,
I
yes.
want to know what happened with that.
I'll have to call you, yeah.
That's great. All right. There's been a new economy after the COVID, or we're still in the middle of it. It's the COVID pandemic, which has allowed people to work remotely. Tell me about how that's affected real estate in our little corner of the state.
So going back to us purchasing the business, we purchased right in, maybe 6 months into COVID. So scary time to take on a business, not knowing what was going to go on, but really, I told our agents, and being, part of our local association, that you got to find the silver linings of stuff, and COVID did create a different market than I think anybody expected, because it did, with people working from home, a lot of remote working, people were able to get out of maybe the cities they were in. They wanted that rural style living, so we had a lot of movement this direction, and really the whole state of California has seen just a fast-paced real estate market, and right now inventory remains low, which the good and the bad of that is it increased our prices. So last year, depending on different parts of the county, but the median price for Calaveras County was anywhere from $450,000 to about $500,000. Good for sellers, good for people who maybe had second homes that they were wanting to move on from. However, our local market, that affects our purchasing power here. Our jobs that are here in Calaveras County don't pay what maybe they pay in the Central Valley or somebody coming from the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. So the pricing has, affected some of our local population to be able to buy. Yeah. Just because, it did create this frenzy that we didn't expect to see, but we definitely saw. And right now, we're still seeing a huge inventory shortage. I pulled the market this afternoon, just, so we had some stats, from Angels Camp all the way up forward. So Angels Camp through Murphy's, Arnold, and up to Bear Valley. There's currently, in that section, so basically there's 24 active homes.
And how many would normally say be
in Arnold this time of year? We should have at least 24 active homes. Mm-hmm. So we're at a, if you just pull Arnold, there was 3 active homes. Add Dorrington, Camp Connell, there was 4 active homes.
Okay, so
there is nothing.
Much fewer houses on the market. What houses are there are more expensive.
And they keep going up.
Where does that leave somebody? You alluded to it. It's somebody that is young and wants to buy a house, and it's like prohibitively expensive now too. So does this contribute to homelessness?
I don't know if it contributes as much to homelessness, because there's a whole, your previous guest was talking about that, there's things that go along with that. There's, it's a bigger picture, I think, that goes along with homelessness.
Okay. But you would probably agree that this contributes to homelessness in a big place like San Francisco.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which is a huge problem now. Yeah.
So for, like somebody wanting to get into the market, like a first-time buyer, you've dealt with some lenders and stuff that know either there's some down payment assistance programs. So sometimes counties have down payment assistance program. Really, it's important to work with a mortgage advisor that can look at the whole situation and really advise that person. And maybe they can't buy right now, but if we do this, this, and this, maybe 6 months down the road, you can purchase. I think that a lot of people get kind of lost in that, I want to buy, but I just don't know where to go. And it's really talking to the real estate professional and a mortgage advisor that are partners that can really walk them through the scenarios to get them to be able to purchase and get them in the home. And that's some of what we like about why we got into real estate and stay in real estate is, seeing that happen.
So you would advise people that, even if you're in the beginning stages of thinking about home purchasing, go ahead, find somebody that you know and trust, and they can help you along the way, and you learn to trust that person and develop a bond and a relationship that will help you down the road, right?
For sure.
So,
and credit too.
Yeah,
You know, 'cause a lot of people
Credit's
think, oh,
huge.
my credit, my credit's not that great. Well, there's different loan programs out there that there's different types of financing that allow different types of credit.
Yeah.
But maybe you're right on the verge, and you get a little bit of credit counseling and get it fixed. And
Hector, whatever other advice might you have for somebody that is a first-time home buyer?
That's actually a great example. We just closed escrow on a young family just 2 weeks ago, and they were on the same scenario. They're like, we're renting, and they're going to sell the house. We need to find somewhere to live. So they called us. I referred them over to our local lender. They were able to pull a credit, and they were like 9 points short of being able to qualify.
Oh.
This mortgage person, and this is what they do, they were able to educate them and tell them, like, this is what we need to do. We need to pay this bill off. This will get you your score to this amount. And they kind of educate them on how to get to where they need to get to. And sure enough, I think they did like within 30, 45 days, they did like a rescore, and they got to the point that they need to get to be able to purchase a home. And yeah, so I mean, those are the kind of things that we can help with, and those are the success stories that we like, because when you thought that you had no hopes of being able to purchase a home, now you're getting keys handed 30, 45 days later because you took that first step to call somebody. So
You talked about some of the nice things you like about the real estate business that got you into it, and I'll bet you that some of those pictures of people being handed the keys and how they jump with joy, especially the first time, it's got to stick with you. Yeah, you probably remember.
Well, Jesse's been in the real estate business for like over 20 years. And I remember when I wasn't licensed yet, and I would go out on the field with him, just to kind of, I enjoy going in houses. It's so weird but I enjoy looking at different houses. I want to go see this one and that one, and I would laugh at him like, you're missing the Hispanic market, like the Latinos, like why? And Jesse's like, well, I don't speak the language. I'm like, okay,
Well,
I need to get in the business to do that.
And you speak Spanish?
I do speak Spanish, yes.
There you go.
So, and that's kind of how I got my feet, got my foot in the door. And I can tell you, like, it's been such a blessing to be able to say, like, I can't tell you how many closings we've had, that it just brings joy to me to know, like, that I helped this person buy a house. And they thought they weren't able to.
Oh, that's great. There are challenges, however, besides money to buying a house, and one of which I've had to deal with is fire insurance. Oh, you're rolling your eyes, fire insurance. What's the state of fire insurance now in Calaveras County? I'm lucky, I got it.
I mean, there's ways to get insurance. Unfortunately, you're going to, depending where you're at and what they see, it may cost you a lot more than you were expecting. You may have to end up getting the California Fair Plan and then additional policy that covers your personal belongings. It is something that at a state level, we are definitely working on. We, as the Realtor Association, have meetings, and we're constantly going to the state representatives saying, hey, this is affecting our rural market. But it's voices being heard, and we encourage people, if you're running into that, let us know, because that way we can take it back. Because a lot of times the insurance companies, it's how everything works. The insurance companies are telling the state, oh no, we're doing what we need to do. So the state's like, okay, they're still insuring, they're doing what they're supposed to do. We told them this is what they're supposed to do if they want to get different funding. But they're not understanding that it's either costing a lot more to do that, or you are having to get those two plans. So if we don't have those stories, we need that information to take back and say, well, yeah, they're insuring, but this person's policy went from $3,500 a year to $7,000 a year. And we've seen that.
And for some people, that could be a deal breaker.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And now that's a big thing. It used to be,
Yeah.
It's funny, the real estate transaction, it used to be like the insurance was kind of the last thing you were getting. That was kind of the last thing on the lender list. Make sure you get your homeowner's insurance. Now it's the first thing we're telling people, you better check into this, because, and we have different things coming down the line that are going to be affecting, with the fires. Throughout the state, there's different fire hardening bills that have been passed. So we're seeing different, right now there's the clearance issues, and they want to have inspectors come out. Down the road, there's going to be different types of fire hardening.
Before you go on, explain what fire hardening is. I'm just going to guess that you mean that it's like making your house more fire resistant?
Correct.
Okay.
So your gutters are all covered, so nothing can get in there. The roof being a metal roof is more resistant to, your other types of roofing. The clearance of trees and stuff from your home. They've even talked about, fire hardening on the walls, be like the cement board or whatever. So there's different things that they're constantly talking about that we're watching.
Instead of wood siding, they make a very nice cement type siding.
Correct, and stucco and stuff.
Yeah,
So there's talk of that, of these areas. And now what's interesting, it used to be our rural markets because we had the fires. Now it's become a bigger thing because now you're having places like, when Santa Rosa had the fire. Wait, these were communities that burned. It's not supposed to happen here.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, with our droughts and stuff, the state's seeing it throughout the state. But it's stuff we need to watch because that can become very expensive. We don't have any point of sale items up here. But if they change that stuff to a point of sale item is seller, you have to fix this or make this compliant before we can close escrow. Well, if you're selling, right now, yes, the market's been good. Sellers might have that extra money, but in a different type of market, a seller may not have $20,000 to put into their home to bring it up to the compliance to meet to be able to close escrow.
Yeah. Is new construction now becoming more? Is it becoming that houses are more fire resistant in design, and then how much new construction is there? We've seen some in Calaveras County.
We have some. I mean, Copperopolis has probably seen the most down with that, and then Valley Springs has stuff. You don't see as much up the hill. Angels, Murphys, Arnold, even over in San Andreas. We could use that. I mean, housing is a shortage throughout the state. So we could definitely use more housing and maybe smaller housing for those, first-time buyers to get into. So that gives them that first step to get it going.
So
but we just don't
why?
see a lot of that.
Why are we not seeing more new construction? Is it simply a matter of dollars?
I think dollars go into play. I think some of our thinking, we like to be rural. We don't want to see big subdivisions. Some of the county, the infrastructure may not be there to get that up and going, and then that cost passed on to a builder is maybe more than what they're planning, because that all comes into play. So if you buy a piece of land, then you have to develop it and get the infrastructure, your water, your sewer, the streets, and that all adds into that pricing.
Okay, so I'm not a real estate expert by any means, okay, but I can remember vaguely hearing something that Calaveras County had passed ordinances that allow different kinds of structures or like the ability to build closer to property lines that allow for different kind of structures to be added on to properties. Explain to me what I'm thinking.
So some of that is a new bill that got its SB 9.
Okay.
That all of the state is kind of dealing with, and the counties are trying to figure out. So what SB 9 did is, because of our shortage of housing, the state officials passed this bill that made it to where it used to be, your single family lot was a single family. Now they've created that to where your single family lot can be multi. You could put an accessory dwelling. You could make a duplex.
Or a mother-in-law.
Or the mother-in-law you can do based on some of the size of your lot and if it's allowed. This is changing that whole mindset, though, that really it's taking the single family resident lot away and allowing people to make their home into a multifamily. But right now it's so new. The county, I was just talking to somebody on the city council level of Angels Camp of like, what are you guys doing? They're still trying to figure it out, and they're dealing with their planners. I know the county's working on that as well to see how do we do this to make it look right.
Yeah, well, it looks like an opportunity there.
There is for sure.
We need to take more advantage of.
It's just trying to figure. We want to keep. You want things to look nice. We're lucky. We have we're more spread out or whatever. If you're thinking of like a city, one thing they didn't take into account for that is like parking. So if I have a unit that was single, now you add 4 to that. All those extra cars, where does that go?
Yeah,
so,
but when you said that, I immediately thought of Angels Camp, where there's a hill, houses are pretty packed together, and parking is already a problem in the residential areas of Angels Camp. Notwithstanding Greenhorn Creek, which is a different entity over there. Where do you guys live?
We're actually on the Tuolumne County side.
Oh, no
We
kidding.
moved out, so my
I gotcha.
family was all in Tuolumne County. So when we first moved up, we ended up there. So we go back and forth.
I gotcha. So,
But the perfect house comes, we are moving here. I'm on that MLS every day looking.
all right, so my wife and I would love to buy like a little piece of property up near Bear Valley sometime and, and build a little cabin. A lot of us have this little dream. But it just, when I look at the MLS listings, like, there's nothing for me up there.
Right.
What do you recommend I do? I have time.
You have to, well, I mean, it's putting the feelers out there. Hey, this is what I'm looking for. Because the flip side of that is sometimes it's not on the MLS or it's not out there. But if you have an agent who knows what you're looking for, that gives us the ability to start looking up properties and going to people and saying, hey, I'm an interested buyer. Have you thought about selling? Or this would work out perfect for them. So it's not always going to be on the MLS. There's many times that, again, it goes back to that. Why hire a realtor? Well, there's one of the other reasons is that maybe it's not on the MLS, but that's the area you want to be. Well, then we start marketing, saying, hey, we have a buyer that's looking for this.
I got
Have you
you.
thought about selling?
All right. We don't have too many more minutes left in our little 30-minute interview, but I wanted to get your take on Zillow. Okay, because most people, it might be the Realtor.com or Zillow. These are the ones that people go to, and you hear criticisms of Zillow. What are these legitimate criticisms? What do you guys think of Zillow?
There's a lot of resources out there. It's an information source is basically what you look at. Now, like there's estimates. Everybody's like, well, Zillow says my house is worth,
His
this.
estimate is Zillow's estimate of your home value.
So the difference in that between us and that is that's a computer generated pricing. All it's doing is taking a surrounding distance of properties, what is sold, and doing a calculation to say, well, this is what we think your house is worth. Well, if you've got a house that's unique or your square footage is more than those that have been selling, it's going to be off. Zillow's a good resource, and us as agents paid into that resource. It started out where they were giving us leads back. Now they've become competition. They're basically a real estate brokerage now. But if you look what happened to them, they went into an iBuying thing where they were doing, they were buying houses and then reselling. That went on for 6 months or so, maybe a year, and then it crashed because their analytics weren't working. So Zillow is a great resource. It gives you a lot of information, but you still need that local contact because computer sitting up in Seattle doesn't know what Angels Camp is.
Okay. So you're optimistic, pessimistic about how the real estate market will move in the next year?
The market is, all predictions show there's going to be a steady market for this year.
It's getting better? I mean, more
I think
houses?
we're just going to stable out is what that's what they're showing, stabling. We are going to, people are going to hear interest rates. It always freaks people out when they say, hey, interest rates are raising. They may raise slightly, but we've been spoiled with rates at 2%. Rates at one time were 10% or 18%. So even if rates went to 4%, they're still amazing rates. And remember, a house is a 15 to 30-year mortgage versus a car that's a 5-year.
I gotcha. Jesse Gibbs and Hector Reyna Gibbs, thanks for being my guest on Mondo Calaveras.
Thank you.